From inclusive finance to sustainable economies, Africa is building its future. This is The Sound of Progress, a podcast by FSD Africa. This is Financing Africa's Future.
Hello everyone and warm welcome to Financing Africa's Future podcast by FSD Africa. And today we are pleased to be joined by Amos Gachuiri, Head of Investment at FSD Africa Investments. Thank you very much, Amos, for finding time.
No, thank you, Cara, for having me.
Head of Investments at FSD Africa Investments. I wonder, what does that role look like? What exactly do you do from day to day?
I think the role involves a number of facets. The most of which is to articulate the responsibility that we have,
Right.
which is to build financial structures and systems on the continent that are able to deliver the outcomes that we so much seek, which is to deliver prosperity to the continent's people.
Fantastic. A couple of key terms that I'm going to want us to revisit in a while. But just before we get then, I wonder whether these are what you had in mind when you were growing up. Is this the career you are always thought of pursuing?
Finance is a complex field, but I fell in love with finance a long time ago in my early days in college. And what I'm doing now therefore fits into that dream of wanting to make investments that then compound over time. This does deliver on a number of other themes that were not always clear to me at the time. Impact-wise, driving jobs as part of the incomes, climate transition agenda. Those were not always at the top of my agenda growing up and preparing a career in finance.
I would say you have not strayed far from it. You are still in finance, investment, so I think you are still quite close to what you grew up hoping you would want to do later in your life. But let's get a bit into FSD Africa Investments. Would you introduce the organization to us and talk to us about the rationale of the organization?
So FSD Africa Investments, or FSDAi, we invest to build prosperity for Africa's future. And we do that principally by creating institutions and instruments that are able to mobilize capital, private capital especially, that would go into the real sector where jobs and lives are being changed.
Right. What problems or challenges would you say that FSD Africa Investments are helping address?
There is a huge financing gap that has been identified, and that is easy to see whenever you walk the streets and drive across the countries on the continent. There's a lot of poverty. Basic services delivery remains a big problem. That is a huge problem worth solving.
Yes.
So the impacts of climate change are upon us and are easy to see. So the role we play is to start to build institutions that address financial, that start to deliver capital to address some of those requirements and needs that businesses, enterprises, SMEs, MSMEs do have, and which the current structures do not always deliver on.
Helping meet financial needs of the continent, let's get a bit into the nuts and bolts of this and help us describe how exactly FSD Africa Investments helps to do this.
A lot of capital formation struggles because of perceived risk.
Yes.
We are working at the cross-section of opportunity and risk to make sure that we can deliver on, we can support intermediaries, for instance, with catalytic capital that allows for other capital owners to allocate their capital to this type of strategies that are addressing climate or that are addressing gaps in SME finance, all that are addressing challenges in the venture stage of finance. We have a lot of work in the nature and biodiversity side. This is very nascent, and so our capital is especially useful in starting to build ventures and vehicles that can start to create pipeline, new projects that address some of the challenges that nature presents.
I like that. Driving frontier finance, attracting capital to hitherto new areas, assuming higher risks than traditional financiers. Help us understand a bit more how FSD Africa is able to achieve that.
We do that by identifying appropriate partners that can help us achieve that agenda. We do that by collaborating with colleagues across FSD Africa in the design work, trying to make sure that the vehicles that are being built are appropriate, that the policy infrastructure that is going to be encountered by the intermediaries that we work with is appropriate or is changing in tandem with the capital formation. Mm-hmm. We work with the pension sector and other fund managers so that we can mobilize the capital into these vehicles. And as we do that, we adjust the vehicles, the institutions we are building, so that they are appropriate for the kind of risk appetite that the likes of pension fund trustees want to see as they desire to keep protecting their pensioners' capital.
Sounds rather fascinating, and I wonder what the current portfolio look like, and what are some of the most exciting investments that FSD Africa Investments has been able to do to date.
It's not easy to pick exciting from non-exciting investments.
It's like asking
I have favorites.
Yeah,
but we've made investments across the maturity profile, from very early venture, early stage finance space, all the way to the capital markets space. You are familiar with the Nyala Venture facility,
right?
The Nyala facility, it has been deploying to fund managers who are emerging.
Yes.
It has a gender-first approach to investing. So we are seeing a very strong gender outcome delivery channel through the Nyala facility. We've worked with the LCBF on the other end of the continuum, trying to drive local capital mobilization through bond issuances. Those are capital market instruments. We are working with Eka Impact, that is going to be working at the nexus of public infrastructure, export credit finance, and all aimed at delivering basic services to the continent's population. So I think it's quite broad, but also very exciting. The kind of strategies we pursue are also working with partners who would otherwise not find traction without us.
Right.
In that head, we are working on a number of SME strategies in a number of countries. Those will do two things. One, FSDI will provide catalytic capital into those vehicles, allowing for participation by local investors, a big part of whom we hope to see coming in our pension funds.
Awesome, I like that. And speaking of which, I know FSD Africa Investments is very deliberate in building, driving financial inclusion, climate investments. Maybe you could speak a little bit about that.
So we have a number of approaches in climate transition strategy.
Right.
So for instance, we have worked with Africa Climate Ventures. They are building ventures that are doing some important work in circular economy, regenerative agriculture. We are working with folks at the Catalyst Fund, again backing investments that ventures that are building based on resilience. So delivering outcomes to communities, that are the ventures that we are backing. Are spread across the blue economy. For instance, water-based solutions. There are others that are based on green financing. We are working with the likes of persistent energy to deliver on energy transition, again from energy efficiency to circular economy to waste to energy. Fairly new and nascent themes. And therefore there is a lot of testing of business models, and our capital is able to do that, especially when in structuring those vehicles, we can provide different layers of capital and allow for private capital perhaps to participate where it would not have been possible because of the levels of risk implied by the early stage nature of those vehicles.
I would agree with that. And I think, as you stated at the start of this conversation, that Africa, we see many challenges, we see many opportunities, yet the truth remains that it's fairly difficult, especially for the younger and early stage organizations, firms, to access capital other than the traditional banking and debt.
Absolutely.
All right. What would you say has been the impact arising from FSDI's work? I know you've been there for quite a while, and you've done many deals, quite across many sectors, quite across many countries on the continent.
I think the first impact that is clear is just the capital formation side. So building institutions is hard work. So seeing that our early participation is signaling to others to join in is a first level outcome that is very attractive. The work we are doing with the likes of Frontclear, ALCPF is showing a lot of promise as well on the job front, on the climate agenda. There's a lot of new access to basic services from the likes of Nithio. On the energy front, we know the big numbers that are in multiple reports about energy poverty in Africa. So seeing initiatives that are starting to address that and address it at scale has been very enriching and very rewarding.
I mean, I find that quite unique. You'd almost, would you call yourselves an impact investor, that you are not necessarily keen to take the whole pie, but you are really very keen to move in and make initial early investments and thereby crowd in and have other investors move in.
The desire to create impact is first and foremost a central part of the work we do. The distinction, I think, would be that we are driven to change the financial system as a mechanism to drive that impact. So we are always working. The big question we try to answer when we are participating in a structure, in an instrument, or building a new intermediary is, what does it help do to the financial system? What does it showcase? So we have some interesting instruments, for instance, in Nigeria with ARM Harith. We've created an instrument that allows for participation by local pension funds there. With InfraCredit, we've created an instrument that allows InfraCredit to work even earlier on projects that are perceived to be higher risk. And by providing the capital that is able to provide that that baseline for them,
Right.
then they can do more, and that means that more things are starting to happen that would not otherwise happen. So our lens is, how catalytic can we be in an investment, and what levels of catalytic activity are we seeing? Is it mobilizing capital? Is it creating new structures and instruments? Or is it just the speed of action that is equally important in addressing some of the urgent challenges that face the continent?
Right, such important work, Amos. I couldn't agree more, and I really wonder, as we draw to a close, what's next for FSDI? How does the near and the midterm future and horizons look like for the organization?
The big agenda remains local capital mobilization. Like I said, capital formation is a big deal because there is a lot of capital that is not always active in the marketplace. Because of perception of risk, and perception of risk sometimes has to do with the structures that are currently available, the challenges and the constraints that the existing institutions face. So undoing that remains a big challenge. We are building partnerships for scale. We are building partnerships for local capital mobilization. We are working with the pension sector across the continent, and we are starting to see a lot of traction. There's a lot of good momentum on the savings side as well by citizens. So these resources will start to become more and more available. And if we can create opportunities for that capital to find good return at good risk, then I think we will be on our way to starting to see a shift in how capital is formed and how capital participates in the real economies of Africa.
I mean, important and interesting that you mentioned, key to your mandate is enhancing capital flows in Africa, especially private capital, both from domestic and foreign investors. To what extent do you feel you are hitting that objective?
We have a number of partnerships that are very promising, and we are starting to close transactions across the philanthropy sector, the pension sector.
Right.
And so I would say that it's a very big agenda, and we are starting to see early fruits of that. And we will be working across Pan-African strategies, country-specific strategies, in order to tap the most appropriate capital for the kind of strategies that we'll be pursuing.
Any closing thoughts?
No, just to say that look up at the work we're doing as an investor.
Yes.
Please join us in building the Africa we want. The many allocators in the world who are looking for a place to build impact, we think that we offer an excellent opportunity with design capabilities, with convening power. We would love to work with you. So come join us to build a better continent. Thank you.
I couldn't agree with you more. Too many opportunities across the continent as Africa seeks to build herself, and many investment opportunities. All the best with that really important work that you and of course your team are doing.